Yeah.
And here we are. All right, so let's just jump into it, I guess. We're going to hit the intro real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Brick by Brick. This is a podcast centered around the Green Wall, the infamous fan base of OpTic Gaming. And every episode we sit down and we talk to different members of the Green Wall. We get to know their story, when they started watching OpTic. We get to share favorite moments and memories throughout the course of their time watching OpTic. And in this week's episode, we are joined by Jess. She's our first female guest on the show, so round of applause to that. She's joining us here today. It's been really fun trying to schedule this, seeing as she is in a completely different time zone. Those ones are always fun, but we're going to start out by just asking her the same question that we ask everybody at the beginning of the show, which is, what does OpTic and the Green Wall mean to you?
So I think it's just like such a group of people that just get each other. Like, we're all across the world with different ages, genders, been like all around for such short times or long times, but everyone kind of like a brick does in the wall, just fit. Like, we all just slot in together and fight with one thing in common. We like turn into like this massive family. It's just such a place to belong, I'd say.
All right. Definitely agree with you there. That's definitely like the number one answer that we hear on the show, is that OpTic is one big family. And I like hearing everybody's different way of saying it. Like, some people are like, oh, just a big family, but like all the bricks just kind of slot together. Like, I don't know. It's always exciting and fun to hear the different ways that people describe the family feeling that OpTic brings to the table. So I don't think that question's ever going to get old, even though I ask it every single time. And now something that we almost spoiled right before this, but when did you first start watching OpTic?
Well,
if you want, just give us like a full background, like gaming, when you started first playing COD, like just give us your whole background with, I guess, COD and gaming and OpTic.
Well, like, I don't know how it is in America, but in the UK, it is pretty much like written in stone that, especially when I was growing up, that boys play video games and girls do anything else that isn't video games or sports and stuff. So I remember like when I was 14, I got a PS3 and made a PlayStation account and stuff, and all the boys like wouldn't add me back. They were like, boys do this, girls don't play games and stuff. I remember my brother trying to teach me how to play, I can't for the life of me remember what game it was, but he was trying to teach me how to play zombies, and he was like, you are so bad at this game, I'm not teaching you. So I never ever really got into video games. And I remember my boyfriend that I'm still with now, everyone who follows me on Twitter will know I just don't shut up talking about him. And we went to Gran Canaria in 2018, and we were sat at dinner, and he was on his phone, and I was like, what are you doing? He was like, I'm watching the COD League. And I was like, oh my God, you are so sad. What are you doing?
Wait, so how long ago was that?
That would be like 2017. So I wasn't into it at that point.
That's a good year.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. It was summer as well. So, oh no, it wasn't. It was World War II. It was World War II, because I remember.
Oh, what a shit year.
The dreaded year. I remember him being sat at dinner being so pissed because he was like, Octane's costing. I was like, what are these words you're telling me? I was like, what are these words? Who is Octane? What are we talking about? So I knew nothing about it at all. The next year, so we live in Manchester, which is like a 4-hour drive from London. Mm-hmm. CWL was coming to London, and he was like, we're going to go to London, by the way, just after your birthday. So I was dead excited. And then
so you're thinking it's like Black a birthday present?
Yeah, Black Ops 4, yeah. I thought, we're going to go on literally a few days after my birthday.
Right after my birthday, we're going to London. Oh.
Yeah. And then he was like, we're booking tickets for CWL. And I was like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And we got there. And I am so, so glad we went. It was the best experience of my life.
Wait a minute. You said that was the following year, right? So that was Black Ops 4?
Yeah, Black Ops 4.
Wasn't that London event the one that was like ape shit?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, it was when Luminosity won. Oh, was it FaZe? When they should have really replayed the map or something. And everyone was shouting, we all hate LG. Oh my god, it was insane. The atmosphere was incredible. I met Hex. I met all of OpTic. So that being Karma, Scump, Crim, Dashi, and Tej. I remember we were going across the sign-in, and this is when Scump had just got Buzz. So we were like, how's buzzing? It was like, he's a little fucking shit, like that. Like, it was so...
Typical puppies.
Yeah, they were such good lads. They were so nice. And I remember coming away and being like, oh my God, that was incredible.
God,
what an amazing experience.
I'm just trying to think, like, if you were not really into it, right? And then you just go to a spontaneous event because you think it's your birthday present. Surprise. And then just like I feel like after the event you walk out and you're just like, what the fuck was that? Like, what did I just attend? I want more. Because I can't imagine anybody goes to an event and is like, that's kind of lame. Like, for me, I'm like, when's the next one? Like, they're so fun. Meeting everybody, the atmosphere, like you said, like... the OpTic atmosphere is nice. I'm sure that was kind of different too, because numbers wise, even though I'm sure OpTic is still the largest like community and fan base across the pond, like the amount of people, it's probably a small. I don't know. That London event was nuts. There
was definitely OpTic were definitely the majority, but I feel like there's a lot of people like that purposely don't like OpTic, so they'll go to like a point of proving they don't like OpTic. So like anyone that they were playing, they were shouting for them. But the first game was against Reciprocity, which were obviously the British team at the time. So that atmosphere was crazy.
So you've got a little bit of like the rivalry. You're on our turf right now.
So well at that event as well. Like, it was so good to see them do so well. So he told me like a month before that we were going, so we started like watching it, and like I'd started catching the
kind of educating you a little bit, and just like this is what we're going to, and
and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, it's okay, but I wouldn't admit really that I liked it.
So let me ask this real quick. So between the ages of like 14, when you got your PS3 and you made your account, and your brother decided you sucked too bad at zombies to even teach you. Like, between then and either meeting your boyfriend or at this point, which is 2018, if my math is correct, like, did you continue playing games within that span? Or were you like, oh, I suck, and you just stopped?
I'm really bad at FPS. It's FPS. I'm constantly like, I'm sat with my headset on and I'm like, oh, someone's around me. Getting dead paranoid. But I've probably played GTA 4 and 5 about 4 times each at least. And this is going to sound really nerdy. I love The Sims. I'm 22 and I still play The Sims.
Every once in a while, I like get this urge to play it, but I always get really bored after starting to play it. So like, it's like one of those things where it's like I'll play it for like a week. And I'm like, it was done. Yeah. So now I'm to the point where every time I get that urge, I'm like, it's not worth it. I know I'm going to be burnt out in a week. My girlfriend's kind of the same way though. She I tried getting her to play COD, and I don't remember if we joined just like regular lobbies or if it was bots or what, but she was like, oh my, like there's so much going on, like I just
how you guys do it.
I don't know, my first COD was Modern Warfare 2, so I've been doing it for like a long time. And before that I was playing Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Before that, not too many shooters. Before that was like Need for Speed, Tony Hawk games, like
oh my God.
MX, like
you would
games.
Get on with my boyfriend
GTA.
so well. You are listing like all of my boyfriend's favorite games. He loves Modern Warfare 2. I think
It's
that's
the all-time
actually,
fave.
I think it's his favorite.
Yeah.
He does have a soft spot for Black Ops 4 though, because that was his best year. Like he was, I watch him play COD quite a lot. I go in and like sit behind him, like,
Okay,
go on, rooting.
that is like so growing up, right, when I was like living at home and everything in high school and like Modern Warfare 2, I don't know what it was, but like my favorite thing is when like somebody, whether it was a parent, my sister, whatever, would like sit and watch me play. I swear I played 10 times better.
Yeah.
Like and it's not the same if like I'm streaming and I've got like 3 viewers.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me. But if someone's in the room, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Like I remember once, it was this year actually. I think he was playing. I think it was Raid S&D, I believe.
Ooh, good map.
I can't remember that. And I'm sat behind him, and he went something like 7-0 in the first few rounds, and I'm stood behind him like, "Let's go, come on!" And
That's
he was
awesome.
just like, he was like, "I love you so much."
That's awesome. She's a keeper.
I'd love for him. I really would love him to start streaming and stuff, but like we moved out like really young. So, and we bought a puppy last year, so we never have any money. But like, I bought him a PS5. I bought him a PS5 for his birthday this year because he deserves it.
There we
go. But he wants to get a PC soon and start building his own and start streaming and stuff. So I'm rooting for him.
Listen, if he has any sort of streaming tips or anything like that, I've done it a lot. Don't have the most viewers or anything, but I know my way around computers and streaming and whatnot. So. Love to see it. Okay, so let's get, where were we? We were at the event.
Yeah.
It was mind-boggling how great it was. Like,
yeah, you can see from the videos of that London event, the atmosphere is just.
I mean, a question that I ask later on is like, and this usually pertains to someone that has never been to an event. I will usually just switch up the question to, well, if you could attend any event like all time, what would it be? And like most people say IW champs, because who doesn't want to be at the championship that we actually take at home? But for me, it's definitely a tie between IW champs and the London event.
Yeah.
Really any London event, but like particularly Black Ops 4s.
Yeah, the Black Ops 4 event was so much better than the CDL event the year after, but that is like a whole other thing. CWL just trumped it. Like they were throwing out headsets, free stuff. Like they were literally just throwing money into the audience, pretty much. There was one point where all the casters came and it was for the semi-finals.
The grand finals or like winners finals or something.
Yeah, I think it was winners finals. Katie was there. Benson.
God, I miss Katie up there, man.
Yeah. I miss Benson as well. Like
I do miss Benson. He's probably one of my all-time favorite casters.
Except for how he says Chicago. That is the only thing Chicago. It really I'm like, no, you're British, Benson. Come back to us.
He's been over here too long. It's fading.
He has. But he was buying people pints and everything. Like he was buying everyone on the row. He was like, you know what? Let's get you all drinks. He bought everyone on the row a drink. He was like saying hi to everyone. It just felt a little bit more like the CWL event. It was just so much more relaxed. Like the CDL event, there was no sign-ins. A few people still met Hex, but like at the CWL event.
So did you go to the CDL event this year as well?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Or last year?
Yeah,
it would have been last year.
Just before the pandemic, it was February 2020.
Yeah.
I remember because I just got my driver's license then. So we drove to the train station to get the train to London. So that's how I remember. But like they changed it so the CWL event you could sit anywhere. It was one big cluster, you could sit anywhere. But then the Ravens event, you had to sit in certain places, so you had to pay more money to be sat at the bottom. So it was kind of a bit like.
Actually, no, I remember that because I bought tickets for the Huntsman event, and then it got canceled. And I remember like having to select my seats.
Yeah, and it was such a shame.
I don't think they're doing that this year though, because I didn't have to do that for champs.
Yeah, and there was a lot of technical issues and stuff. Because the stadium that they have it in, do you know the London 2012 Olympics, the basketball stadium that they built? the Copper Box Arena, I believe it's called. So it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not sat on the floor, it's hard to see anything that's going on. So that was a shame. That really was a shame, because it was like with.
See, that's what's going to be weird is like, so I've been to 3 events. I've been to MLG Anaheim 2013. That was my first event at the Anaheim Convention Center. My second event was Anaheim 2019, which was a trip showing up 6 years later, same exact venue. But in 2013, League of Legends was the big deal. And then after that was COD, and then you had StarCraft had like a little single stage, like it was like a single row of seats, but it's like StarCraft in America is not huge. But it's like there were 3 games at Anaheim 2013, and this was Black Ops 2, so it was like COD's year to really kind of start growing. And showing up 6 years later, it's like it's only Call of Duty. It's massive. Like the seating arrangement, like they had the little like temporary bleachers and whatnot, like, and I don't know, there were just different things. Like in 2013, they were sponsored by Dr. Pepper and Flips Pretzels, which I don't know if Flips are in the UK, but they're just like chocolate covered pretzels. And they would have people, like, you could just walk up to the Dr. Pepper stand and boom, like free Dr. Peppers all event long.
Oh my God.
They
That'd be
had
my
basically like cheerleaders like representing the Flips Pretzels. Yeah, like literal Flips Pretzel like cheerleading outfits, and they would just walk down the aisles throwing chocolate covered pretzels into the crowd, like just free snacks, like. And then in 2019, like, I mean, it was still a great event and everything, but it's like now you have Game Fuel, and you could go play the little like Game Fuel booth. They had, I don't remember the sponsor for the big round thing, but I don't know. It was just like completely different. The crowd was different, like obviously a lot bigger. And I feel like it's going to be weird going from, and then I went to CWL Champs 2019, and it was similar to Anaheim, but just bigger, and it was at UCLA's basketball stadium. But like, it's going to be weird going to CDL.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to expect.
Different. It really was different. For me, not to like trash CDL, so to speak, but it feels a lot more catered to new viewers than, we like stuff like the at the start of Modern Warfare where they explain the different game modes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't obviously play the game because I'm so bad at it, but like, I sat there and I was like, we all know how to play Hardpoint.
Yeah, that was always weird. And granted, I don't watch nearly as much now as I used to, just not as much time, and editing and trying to stream and do videos takes up a lot of time. And I don't know if you've seen the TikTok going around about hyperfixation. The guy that's like, I'm off to start a new hobby. I've learned everything about the hobby. Like, that's my life.
Me too.
But like, anytime I would have time to watch the Modern Warfare events, like that little pregame fly through the map of like, there's going to be 2 bomb sites. The objective is to plant the bomb, and I'm like, bro, nobody that's stumbling across a competitive Call of Duty match doesn't know how the game modes work.
Exactly.
Like,
it's
no
more
offense
like,
to your advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
But nobody's accidentally coming across competitive Call of Duty.
It's more likely that you've played Call of Duty for your whole life and go, oh wait, there's a league out there. Like, I didn't know that. And like how I came into it is quite weird. Like, that you've never really played COD, but you watch it competitively.
But even then, like, your boyfriend getting into it, it's like,
yeah, he played COD first.
He's probably explained it to you. Or on the alternative, like, you're hanging out with him, but you don't really care about the matches, so it doesn't do anything for you anyways.
Yeah. Literally. Like, it just, I think they're trying to compete more with like your bigger games, aren't they? That pull in that viewership.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get some of those viewers to come over, but
it's not how esports viewership works, though.
No.
It's not like...
I see what they're trying to do, but I don't think it's quite coming off. I think it's
and I have faith mostly because I just like to think like, okay, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, like all these very established sports leagues. I'm like, what did their first 10 seasons look like?
Yeah.
Like they were probably shoddy. They probably had a bunch of weird shit going on where it was like fans were like, what the hell are you guys doing? So I'm like, you know what? This is the only thing that I don't like about it is like, yeah, this is the first time we've done a league, but we've been doing COD Esports for over 10 years now. Like at least bring in Sepso or like Adam Apicella as just like a consultant even and be like, hey, listen, we're a league now, but we'd like to keep pretty much all the things you guys built. Like, I don't know. Not to bash them. They've done a lot better this year than last year.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I think they dealt with. Sometimes I feel like they can't do right
minus
for wrong.
The major lawsuit.
Oh yeah! Oh god! Yeah. Let's just sweep that one under the carpet. Yeah. Forget about that. But I think, especially with the pandemic and stuff, they did what they could.
Yeah.
You're always going to get like your trolls in the chat, like trash league, this, that, and the other. They're doing what they can, but I think some of the things with defining the players and stuff is it kind of makes you cringe a bit, doesn't it? You're like,
I get that they're trying to be kind of more professional.
Yeah,
but it's like
you can't gag them in a way. Can you?
It's like this isn't an area. It's like this is an area where you get to be different than every other league on the planet. This is where you get to be, give your players some freedoms to have personality and whatnot. And not that anyone in the league does this, but if you had, say, a Dr. Disrespect type character and he went pro, or all of a sudden you're going to make him completely drop his character, like because you're going to find the crap out of him for everything he says, or are you going to use that to bring in viewership? Right, like Octane. Octane is, I mean, I do really like him, but last year with his critiquing that he kept getting fined for, it's like at the end of the day, that's actually bringing in a lot of viewership. So,
like, I saw something at one point where it was like, can we just all set up a GoFundMe so Octane can voice his opinions without getting fined?
Yeah, like we just go fund his fine.
Yeah, literally, because I would rather have someone in the league that is sitting there, and because for me, he wasn't being disrespectful. I would be so mad if that happened to OpTic. I obviously I'm an OpTic fan. Change would have happened sooner if that would have happened. If the things that happened to Surge happened to OpTic.
Agreed.
Phase, it would have changed like that.
And it's like it's just corrective criticism.
Yeah, definitely. I think how he was treated last year. Same with Scump though as well. Like he kind of shut his mouth a little bit because he was like, "This is."
Yeah, and he's a penny pincher too. Like they talk about it on a few pieces and stuff. Like Scump, if it's a $50 fine, Scump's like, "Nope." Like I never know if this money's gonna stop coming in. Like he's a penny pincher.
Yes, I've noticed. So many people say that.
Yeah.
My boyfriend pointed it out, and I didn't even realize. And then I was like, "Oh my god, he is so tight with money. He is frugal as big."
Yeah, and I think it was just, I don't know, the way he was raised, or it could have been. I imagine that would have been his mom. I don't know, but it could have been his dad too. Like his dad was a first round pick in Major League Baseball.
Really? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. His dad's, I'm pretty sure, went to jail or something for something with animal abuse. Yeah. But for a long time, his dad was actually a really big part of the community and constantly would like back in the day when you would find your teammates either through Twitter, just, free agent looking for a team of 3, or if you were looking for scrims and you weren't super established on the Game Battles website, it's like you either use Twitter as your outlet to find teammates in scrims, or you would go in the Game Battles forums to find, teammates in scrims. But if you tagged Scump's dad, he would actually, he would retweet almost every single time.
Nice.
Yeah, he was actually
Yeah.
super cool, but I don't know. Then some
I love
stuff
to
happened
see.
with like animal abuse and
Oh
yeah.
no. I love to see how involved the parents are though. Like every time I tweet something
Yes.
about like Dylan, I'll get in my DMs like, "Mum fun boy," like I love it. And then I think Skump's mum definitely follows me because she followed me out of nowhere, and I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Hey sis, we're friends now. Hi." So
Yeah.
she followed me. Dashy's mum followed me. I was like, "My mother-in-law is here. I'm marrying your son one day, lovely." Like, I have to like limit the things I tweet about Dashy now because I'm like, I do not want his mum seeing this. I need to like zip it. Like,
no, you could just be that. You're the daughter-in-law.
yeah. Well, one day, like I'll be like to my current boyfriend, like, "Thank you for introducing me, but it's time to
But
go.
see ya.
See you later."
All right,
Yeah.
it's
I
Bruce's
feel like
time.
he'd understand. I feel like he'd get that. Like he'd be like, "Okay, bye."
He'd be
Have
like,
a
oh,
nice
just
life.
give me like a signed jersey or something. Like we'll call it good.
When Dashy favorited my tweet, and so I tweeted him happy birthday. Obviously I met him in London, and he was so nice, so chatty, and
He's got
my boyfriend,
super good vibes.
yeah, my boyfriend knew I had like a massive crush. Like from the moment I was like, he looks nothing like my boyfriend. Okay, my boyfriend is like blonde and nothing like Dashy, but I was like, that is like my type. Down like if anyone has ever seen Love Island UK, they're always like my type on paper. I was like, yeah, that is
That's
him.
it. It's Bruce.
To a T. He is that is what I'm looking for.
Good
So
old
like when I
Bruce.
met him in London, my boyfriend had to walk off first because it was like one person in at a time.
Yeah.
So he had to go, and he just said to Dashi, he was like, "Keep sniping," and Dashi was like, "Yeah, GG," stuff like that. He walked off, and then I'm sat there like, "Hey,
Hi.
you're my favorite." And so we were just having a conversation, and he was so cool, so chilled, just like say such good vibes. And then he liked my tweet on his birthday because we funnily enough, the two men I love most in this world, being Dashi and Hayden Christensen, share a birthday.
Really?
Coincidence? Yeah, they have the same birthday, and it's in the same week as my birthday. So
hey,
I don't know.
it's fate.
Coincidence. It is fate.
It's fate.
So I tweeted him happy birthday, and he liked my tweet.
You need
It's
Hayden
pinned on my
Christensen
Twitter.
to like your birthday tweet now.
Oh God, I wish. He's like such a hermit. He has no social media.
I know. He's
God,
a
I'm
hard
like,
guy to like follow.
literally, I'm like, I miss you. Come back. So yeah, Dashi favorited my tweet, and then his mum followed me from that because it ended up getting like nearly 2,000 likes. I was like, what the hell is happening?
It's always weird
here?
when you get a tweet that pops off, right?
Yeah,
And you're just like, oh shit, did I do something?
Yeah, what did I do? Because obviously the time zones are so weird. Like, I tweeted it and went to bed, and then I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my God, Dashi has just favorited my tweet." But a lot of the other tweets just got like 100 likes because obviously Dashi had had liked theirs as well. But mine gets like nearly 2,000. I was like, but I think a lot of that. Not to shade anyone, but they were like, "Oh, girl, esports, follow." Like at the London event, I was like 6 girls at the first London event. The second one, there were so many more girls there, but the first one, I was probably one of 6. Literally, there was barely any girls there. So like, I remember like people just looking at me like, "Oh my God, there's a girl!" Like shocked.
Oh man, have you seen the? There's a chick on TikTok. She does like Tarkov videos, but she switches her in-game tag to her Google Duo like number or whatever, or her Google Voice number, and like her TikToks are literally the people in Tarkov calling the number, and she's like, "Oh hey," and it's like, "Hey, are you aware like your number's on a game like in game?" She's like, "Oh yeah, no, that's me." They're like, "Oh, I'm a gamer. I can't talk to women." Hang up, and every single one does that. It's like the weird. I don't know how it's come to this, but
yeah, like it is so weird. Like I think as well, even like when I met OpTic, I think they were a bit like, a bit standoffish because as you can probably see, like I wear makeup, I wear cute as hell outfits no matter where I'm going. I overdress because at least then I can never be underdressed. And
That's
like
the good mentality.
I feel like these are real like stereotype with female gamers that they're going to be like I've heard it so much that they're gonna look a bit more masculine and stuff, and it's just not the case. Like you see some of the girls.
That. I mean, especially if you look at like go way back. Like you have Midnight.
Yeah.
Like she's a little tomboyish, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's it, tomboy.
But she's also, gay, lesbian, whatever. So it's like, I mean, that stereotypically it kind of fits the look, but it's like she's not super masculine by any means.
Yeah.
You have OpTic Jewel back in the day, Megan. She's not masculine at all. Who else do we have from like back then? I don't know. Like I'm trying to think. And I was, this is me early high school, so I'm like, oh, girl gamer on YouTube, like let me watch some of her videos, and like they all happen to be dope people, but like I can't think of a single one where it was like they fit the stereotype of being more boyish.
You don't know where the stereotype comes from, but you kind of have it. I feel like even me as a woman, I kind of have it as well. Like I was expecting to be literally one of a few girls at the event, and I was. But then when I went to CDL, you don't expect, like, sounds horrible, but like girly girls to be there, and I hate that because sometimes I want to wear jogging bottoms and like a t-shirt, and other days I want to wear a dress and heels. Like I fluctuate my style. So
your fashion's all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more comfort. Like today I've got a pair of ripped jeans on, but like it's just comfort. Like I'm sat at home, I'm not gonna dress all cute. And like when I went to the COD events, I was like, one day I wore like a black dress, but I had trainers on. Like I live in trainers. I love sneakers if you're American. I forget that everyone's British.
No, I'm I don't know. I think most terms I'm pretty good at translating them.
Yeah, I have a friend that I've met through Twitter, and I don't actually tend to speak to people outside of Twitter. I try and keep my private life private because obviously with the internet, you know how it can get. People can get strange. And I have had a few instances that have been strange, but this guy, he's called Jackson. He's great. And I messaged him the other day saying CBA, and for anyone that doesn't know, that means can't be asked. It's like British slang. And he was like, "What the hell does CBA mean?" He was like, "Are you sick? Have you got is that an illness?" Like,
that one I would have been lost.
Yeah, it's asked is very British though. Like, oh, I can't be asked. Like, I've never heard anyone. I love
other cultures' slang.
Yeah.
Though, like,
it's so crazy because Britain and America are so close in like pretty much everything, but then you get to language miles apart.
Massively.
Yeah, crazy.
So one thing, before we jump back into stereotypes and fashion and all that sort of stuff, which for the record, I think most stereotypes exist for a reason because most of the time they are true. Like they come from something. Yeah. But the whole girl gamer, like tomboy, boyish masculinity thing, like I don't understand that one at all. I'm like, in fact, I've seen not necessarily more like girly girls, and it's weird now too with Twitch and like hot tub streams and like all these people all of a sudden streaming on Twitch that like aren't gamers, but they're just clout chasers really. But right before that time, it's like, no, I think they're like Pterodactyl, who was on OpTic for a short time. She's a CSGO player. Actually, I don't know if her name's Pterodactyl. That's just how I remember her at. But it's like, she's pretty feminine. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just, I don't know where the stereotype comes from. But looping back to like cultures and stuff, like one thing that I adore of like the London event and just a lot of, I don't know, like English stuff, I guess, is like, I feel like there's group chants that like the whole entire nation knows them. And I think it stems from football or soccer. It
does, yeah.
But like London had that, and I'm like, I'm big into chants, and like I can't stand I mean, I kind of miss like, let's go OpTic. I kind of miss it because it's been so long, but it is so repetitive. And I have tried so hard to come up with different chants, but none of them catch on. And then you have the London event, and it's like, these are just traditional sports chants being switched up a little bit for Call of Duty. And I'm like, why can't we have that? I want it so bad.
Sports culture obviously in America, it's a lot broad because you guys have like baseball.
We have a lot more sports.
Yeah, but with us, I mean, you do have like rugby and cricket. Rugby's a bit more like
more like American football.
American football,
with no pads and just
There's
brutal.
so many rules. It's because we have, without getting too off track, we have rugby union and rugby league, and they have such different rules, and it's like I don't even wrap my head around it. I don't even try. But obviously,
like,
football.
Then you have football, which is so much higher up.
Yeah, everyone in the UK either loves or hates football. There's no in between. I grew up. Oh yeah, some people like.
I mean, it makes sense. Like obviously, some people are going to, but I've never even considered the possibility.
It tends to be women, honestly. That like like me fellas down the pub watching football again.
Is it because the guys are so like overly obsessed with it?
Yeah, I think so. But like this is why me and my partner get on so well, because I have always grown up being friends with boys because I've loved football. My first football game was for my local watching my local team. I was 6 months old. My dad took me. No, actually, I was younger. I was like 2 weeks old. My dad took me in my little car seat, and he sat there having a pint, and northern football is like pie and peas, watching the football with 2-week-old me in a little car seat. And I did that up until my dad passed away when I was a kid.
Up until you didn't fit in a car seat anymore?
Well, yeah. I was 5 years old, like, Dad, can I have a bigger car seat now, please? I'm ready. I would go all the time until being about 8 years old. When my dad passed when I was 10. So we stopped going as much then, and I started supporting Manchester United, which globally everyone knows who Manchester United are. One of the biggest teams in the world. And so I started watching them. So especially through like the Euros and stuff, I would be at the pub every England game watching the football. But there's some incredible chants. Like, I don't know if you're very aware of British football players, but there's one that plays for United and England. He's called Harry Maguire. He has a massive head. Okay. So the chant is literally Harry Maguire, Harry Maguire. He drinks the vodka, he drinks the Jaeger, his head's fucking massive. And that is a chant. That is a British chant.
See, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
So
it doesn't rhyme at all. Nope. But it's like, if you just say it in harmony and at the right rhythm, like it works. And like something, dude, in America, we can't do that. We literally lack the capability. Yeah, we are the least creative chanters in human history. And which is weird because like it's not like the passion's not there. Especially when it comes to American football. Yeah. That is literally the American version of, as the rest of the world knows, football. Like, yeah, basketball is really big, baseball is also really big, but the NFL,
nothing compares.
The NBA is like probably the closest. I don't know, baseball's big. I don't understand why people like baseball. For one, to me, it's incredibly boring. I would literally rather watch golf.
Great! Wow, that is a bold statement.
I know, but the thing is golf is so incredibly technical that I can respect it for that. Yeah. In baseball, I feel like 90% of the competition is between batter and pitcher. Yeah. And like the catcher sits there, but it's like, what do the outfielders do? What do the basemen do? Like nothing for most of the game. Like, at least in every other sport, it's like golf, it's an individual sport, so you're involved. But it's like in American football and basketball, like in tennis, like everyone's involved. In baseball, like you have 6 people doing nothing for 80% of the game. Like literally, I've been to 2 baseball games, and the outfielders will spend half the game just waving and bullshitting with the fans, which is cool. But like,
like expensive mascots, pretty much.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around it. And it's weird because like my dad's pretty into baseball, or at least used to be. A lot of people on my dad's side of the family are really into baseball. My girlfriend's dad, big Giants fan. Like, I don't understand it. But
Yeah,
I don't know. Even in the NFL, even at our most viewed sport in America, we still come up with like, let's go fill the blank here with whatever team.
Yeah.
Like, there's a few, like, one of my favorite memories, and this was from Champs 2019, E United, which hats off to their mega fan that was there, their super fan that was the only E United fan and really the only non-OpTic fan willing to step foot on the floor of OpTic.
Oh,
And this is Champs in UCLA Stadium down in Southern California. Like, the floor is all OpTic fans. It's like a 95% OpTic fans on the floor. If you're not an OpTic fan, you're up in the stands. There was one United fan that would put himself right in the middle of the OpTic floor, and he would talk shit and he would chant back to us. He was super cool. Like,
just competitive.
Yeah. Like, he wasn't being causing any trouble. He wasn't being obnoxious. Like, he was just the guy that was going, upstream, basically. And at one point, I don't remember what exactly was going on, but, we have our "Let's Go OpTic," and that's the chant we use for everything. But at one point, E United started chanting. They won a round of like S&D or something. And I think this was actually the match that Dashi had the 5-piece. I don't think it was that map, but it was S&D of that series. Yeah. And E United took a map off of them, and E United said something. And then the next round, OpTic took the map or the round. And I just looked up at their little crowd, and they had like a decent sized little crowd up in the stands all sitting together. And I just went, "We can't hear you." And they just shut up. They went silent. And it was so rewarding. And then it never caught on. Like, it just, yeah. And in high school, we had a few different ones. We had "We Can't Hear You," which you would obviously do if the other team is trying to chant and still losing. The song, what is it? "Na, na, 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 hey, 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 goodbye." I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Yeah.
We would do that one, at the end of the games if we knew that we were, especially home games. But for some reason, none of those have transcended into the world of esports.
See, we have quite a few. So the first,
I feel like there's so many.
Yeah, it's hard to sit here and think of them all. The first one that really springs to mind is there's context behind this one. So when, obviously, what do we think of LG? Shit. What do we think of shit? LG. Yeah. So that comes from two football teams in London that are rivals, which I believe it's Tottenham.
I think that's the single reason why the London event competes with IW Champs as far as dream events for me. Yeah.
So, like, Tommy was on stage and he was like, "What do we think of shit? LG, what do we think of LG?" And it's like, "We hate LG. So there's that one. And there's "You're Not Singing Anymore." So they're like, "You're not singing, you're not singing, you're not singing anymore." I like that one. That's a good one.
See, I like the ones that jab a little bit at the other fans.
Yeah.
Like, it's just friendly. It's friendly competition. And like, I don't know if it's because of the world we live in right now where people are pretty sensitive or at least feel comfortable enough sharing their sensitivity to whatever or being offended or what. But like, that sort of stuff is what I live for in competition. It's just like the little jabs. Like, it's no hurt feelings. Like, no one's actually, causing any problems. And you can do it right back to the other team. Like, it's just the back and forth banter. And I feel like somehow we've lost that.
Yeah, definitely. It's all a bit kind of like the London event. I mean, a lot of football chants in the UK, a lot of them have a bit of like racial undertones. That's why they've started to phase out a little bit. Because especially when I was growing up, about Black and Asian players, there was chants like there was no tomorrow, like really bad Asian hate and racism. But now it's kind of a bit more like with Maven. every time Maven speaks, everyone will just go, "Fuck off, Maven! Fuck!" and just chant that at him, and everyone just loves it. Like Benson at one point was stood up going, "Fuck off, Maven!" Fuck, like that. Like it was brilliant, and it's like you say, just that banter, that back and forth.
It's lighthearted, like, and it's Maven. You know, Maven could take the joke too with his big bald head. Like,
yeah, like you wouldn't stand there going like "fuck off, Lottie," because that's a bit like we haven't established that relationship
with
yet.
her yet,
like,
yeah.
I feel like you have, don't you? Like you can have that.
What do you think of Lottie, by the way?
I think she's great. I mean, especially being another woman who follows esports. One, she's British, so brownie points.
Mm-hmm.
Two, she's a woman, so I think it's really natural in women to either want women to succeed or want women to fail, and it depends on what kind of woman you are. And with me, like the minute I see, whether I know her or not, the minute I see
women representation,
I'm just like Elwood, like yes, queen. Love that.
Was unsure at first, and I really liked Katie, so that's where my uncertainty came from. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Katie was phenomenal, super fun too. I met her at Champs, like super fun, like good vibes, like positive, joking, like she'd sit and BS with us and stuff. You know, do you guys have I'm sure you guys do, like the little bird scooters or whatever, the little electric scooters that you can like rent and just
and like in your bigger cities and stuff.
So like they had those down there, and I'm in a bit of a smaller town, at least in California. We have like about 100,000 population, which in California standards is relatively small when you have LA with 12 million. And,
oh my god.
Yeah, LA County is a 12 million population.
There's only like 60 million in the UK altogether. So like if you put that into perspective, that's crazy.
I think that my town is kind of smaller too because I was born in Anaheim in Orange County. Oh, wow. So I've transitioned from literally millions in the population of the town and county to like 100,000, which is still a lot of people, but significantly less. But like we're down there, we're riding the scooters like every night, like we're just out having fun. And at one point we were riding, my buddy Tony and I, next to Katie. She was driving home from the event or to her, hotel or whatever. And we were talking to her a little bit at the event prior, or like before we left, and she rolls down her window and she's like, "You guys better not get hurt." And I was like, "No, we'll be fine." And I literally crashed like 5 minutes later in traffic. Like those things go like 20 miles an hour or so. And I braced all of that with my left arm, like it jacked up my shoulder. And like the next day I could only lift my arm like this much. And so I see her the next day and I was like, "What's up, Katie?" So remember last night when you said, "Don't hurt yourself"? I definitely crashed right after that conversation. And like, I don't know. It was just, it's cool to interact with people and them actually be down to earth.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they see you a bit more. Like when I met Hex, he made everyone feel so seen, so appreciated. He was honestly like meeting the OpTic guys was great, but that was like literally being raised onto a cloud. And
it's
like
Hex. It's like
he's incredible.
There's a difference between meeting the OpTic guys and then meeting the guy that without him there's no OpTic.
Yeah, and he's just...
And we saw that last year with OGLA and Huntsman. Without Hex, there's no OpTic. Like he's such... Not even just because of what he's achieved. Like, you kind of look at him and when you talk to him, you forget that he's who he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You forget that he's a god amongst men, in a sense.
When I went over and took a photo with him, which is one of the worst photos of me ever, like, I'm just like,
I think that's excited. How it works when you take pictures with people that you idolize a little bit, the picture will turn out shit. Yeah,
pretty much every time. And when I go over, he thanks me for coming over and taking a photo with him. Like, he's like, "Thank you. So nice to meet you." And I was like, oh my God, like, what a nice guy. Yeah. And throughout the event...
As long as he's not eating.
You what?
It says as long as he's not eating.
Yeah.
That's the golden rule.
He comes out and meets fans like 5 times over the 3-day weekend. He made such an effort. He walked around like for me, I'm not to say Nadeshot's a bad guy because Nadeshot is so cool, but I don't think you'd see him do that. I think Hex is such like a man of the people. Like
I
he
think
knows
at an event you would see that from Nadeshot.
You think? See,
Yeah,
maybe
it could
he's
be
never
different.
been to the UK.
I've met Nadeshot at Anaheim
Have you?
2013. Yeah. Anaheim 2013, I got a picture with Nadeshot, and he was super cool. And this was during Black Ops 2, where he was really, really starting to explode. And I don't think he's lost much of that with the growth of 100 Thieves. I could see it a little bit, because at some point it's like you can't talk to every single person.
Yeah.
Like when you're that big, you can try, but like you got shit to do. Like if you've made it that far, you're a busy person, right?
Yeah.
But I think if he actually, I mean, Courage at Champs 2019, he was down there with the crowd and everything.
Yeah, that's such a good guy.
And he's massive personality.
With Hex, for me, how it looked to me anyway, was that he was not there to sell OpTic in a way. Like, you know, he was not there to be like, look, that's my team on the stage. He was there to go, right, I want to say thank you to everyone. Like, he stood there. So the first time I saw him speak to someone, he was stood behind a barrier, and they were like, can we have a photo? So he comes around, takes a photo with them, and a queue started to form. He did not go until everyone had a photo with him. He made sure that everyone who wanted a photo with him got their moment. And then the second time I saw him take photos with someone, he was like, look, I've got to go. We're about to play. Come back. At this time, I'll be here.
He always does that. Every time in the 3 events I've been to, and I can't really speak on 2013 too much. It was a long time ago. Yeah. And there was everything was so much smaller back then that like the picture that I got with Hex back then, he was just checking out the MLG shop that they had set up.
No,
like it was like him, Scump, and like Temper from FaZe. Like they were just out at the MLG shop, just like looking at the different clothes and like, oh yeah, it's dope. So it's like everything was so much smaller back then. But like Anaheim and Champs 2019, I've seen that numerous times where it's like, hey guys, I got to run. Like, sorry, but hey, come back. Or I'll be out here after the match.
Yeah.
Or
he's honestly, the thing that, I mean, for me, I'm biased because I'm an OpTic fan, but
everyone that listens to the show is an OpTic fan, so
yeah, I can say whatever can. Competitive Call of Duty would not be what it is without Hex, and I say that with chest. Like I sit here.
For me, on that, Hex, FaZe Temper, Nadeshot.
These people
Scump.
defined. Yeah.
Now, mind you, 3 of these people so far are OpTic involved. Nadeshot, Scump, and Hex. FaZe Temper, I just have to thank him, even though I didn't like FaZe at the beginning, and I to this day mostly hate trick shotting. FaZe was the first content team to really compete with OpTic, and competition drives everyone upward. So without FaZe, OpTic wouldn't have had to push as hard. And then after that, like, I'd say after that, when it comes to COD, the next one, I would probably go with Doug Sensor Martin.
Yeah.
He's, even though the community, I think, feels like weird with him, there's a lot of love-hate with him. I definitely love the guy. There was a moment where I was like, I don't know, every year is his year until it isn't. But I had the pleasure of meeting him at Champs 2019, and like, it wasn't just, oh, let me make sure everyone gets their picture. It was like, there were people that I saw asking questions like, hey, you know, I'm trying to go, like, what do you recommend? And he'd actually sit there after the picture and like have a 5-minute conversation with every person that had like that wanted a conversation. He was giving them 3-5 minutes and then like, all right, yeah, no problem. Okay, next. Like, took real time with every single person. And then what's her name? His girlfriend, maybe fiance. I don't know if they're.
I know,
but she was great too, and like she was super sweet with everybody. she could definitely like read the crowd and like, okay, this person's here for censor. Let me back up a little bit. This person's here for both of us.
Yeah.
You know, if any women came up, like they would kind of go to her as well, because women like to see women in power and everything.
Yeah,
and like,
definitely.
hey, you know, and it could even be things like, oh, my boyfriend's a huge gamer. Like, how do you balance, you know,
You relate.
yeah, because obviously Censor's a professional player. Like, I don't know, they were both great. And ever since that moment, I'm like, dude, Doug Censor Martin is the man. Whether or not he's in the league, whether or not he's got the pro status, like,
He's done a lot for the
super genuine dude.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice to hear. Like, when you see someone and you just don't want them to be like if I would have met, like when I met OpTic, for the most part it was so nice, but like Crim and Karma, like they didn't even like look at me. Like, I think when there's a woman, it's a bit weird. You don't know how to gauge it. I think that's changed recently, but it's hard to gauge, isn't it? Like, women, like, you don't know whether that girl's there because her boyfriend just dragged her on or because she wants to be there.
Yeah.
So hard, but
in those two's defense, Crim, I've seen. I mean, being to events, I've seen him. I've seen how he interacts with people, and I think his thing is, I mean, one of the reasons I think he's such, you know, the winningest player in Call of Duty is when he's at events, he's fully locked in.
Yeah,
like,
I got that vibe.
I mean, even so at UCLA's campus, they have Rubio's, which makes really good. Like, they're like a fast food kind of sit-in restaurant type place, like not a restaurant, but, you know, quick service. Yeah. And they have one on campus there. And so we go there, and that's definitely one of my favorite places in Southern California, like home. Always have to go there when I'm down there. So I'm like, oh, dude, we're going to Rubio's. So I go, all of OpTic is there. They're all sitting down, and like Crim was the only one that, like, during the meal, like, you could tell he's just thinking about the match they just played.
Yeah,
he's just locked in. And I think he's been doing it for so long that like any great athlete, it's like once they're in that environment, they know how to lock themselves in.
Yeah, you see, like with the Olympics, don't you? Like when they're about to start, especially the running, they are in that zone. Yeah, no one is getting them out of that zone. So yeah, he was definitely not.
And Karma, I think, is like that as well. But
I think
also,
he's shy.
I think he's a little bit more like nervous. Shy, social awkwardness.
He was nervous. Like, it wasn't just with, like, he just kind of like smiled and kind of signed that thing and went on. Crim, I mean, I have photos of him. Crim's just like writing, like, it looks like he's taking a like test, like writing dead close to paper. And it was just like it was. I never got the vibe that they were rude or anything, but they were just like
weird.
Yeah, but like, and
like
then
they're not there for the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where Hex and Scump, even Tej. I only saw Tej for like a short time at Anaheim before they were walking. Because at Anaheim, the Hilton Hotel is literally a walk, like a 2-minute walk from there to the venue. So all the players stay at the Hilton and they just walk across the sidewalk and they're at the venue. And that's like the only time I really saw Tej, but you could tell he was also like thankful for the fans, which I think if it's your first time on OpTic, you're not used to being on the receiving end of all the OpTic support.
It's a lot to take, isn't it? Like, thousands and thousands of people. Like, I think I got that vibe from Dashi and Tej, that they were happy to be there.
So they're just thankful to even be in that position.
Yeah, and they were such cool guys. Like, they were just so nice. And I think the difference between like Scump and Crim, Scump, probably as much she tries not to, feeds off the fans. When you've been put on that pedestal for so long, and everyone's like, "We love you."
I don't even think he tries not to.
Yeah.
Okay. Watch any of his great moments at fan attended events.
Yeah.
You have Hardpoint Black Ops 2 on Yemen, who's the best in the game. He's feeding off the crowd. You have Ghost Champs in 2014. He's feeding off the crowd. Like, he feeds off of Clayster too. Like,
Clayster loves it. I think the difference between Scump and Clayster,
you should bring the ponytail back.
Scump and Clayster, I think with Scump, sometimes like obviously when he tweeted like about the impact it was having on his mental health and stuff. Yeah, it's the greater they are, the harder they fall at the end of the day. And I think for it's human nature, isn't it? A million people could say nice things about you, but then you'll focus on that one thing.
Yep.
That someone doesn't like about you.
It's the whole thing, like, okay, like Yelp reviews or any reviews of like a restaurant or anything for that matter.
Yeah.
Okay, if you buy something or if you eat out at a place and you get the best service or the best product you've ever got, are you going to go write a good review about it?
No. Yeah,
but if you get bad service, you're like, I have to let the world know how terrible this place is.
Yeah. And it makes me sad because you see Scump, he interacts with people on Twitter and stuff, especially a lot less now. A lot like Sandy. Sandy is obviously, like, for me, one of Scump's biggest fans. Like,
I think she's at the very least, I think that besides his fiance, I think that she is the biggest female Scump fan on the planet.
Yeah, and she ride or dies for that guy.
Yeah.
She supports him no matter what. And it's so sad to see him not like interact with her as much on social media because, oh my God, she deserves it. She deserves like to be, I don't know, in text chains with him because like she just supports him so much. But like it's so hard for people to kind of connect with Scump as much now because through no fault of his own, he has to look after himself and his own emotional well-being.
I think he's distanced himself a little bit.
And
I think a big part of that is just how well the team is playing. Because like you said, like if the team's not playing bad, or if they are playing bad, if they're not playing good, OpTic of all teams hears the most about that.
Oh yeah, people want to see us fail.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It's like you said, it's like the greater you are, like the harder you fall. But you see, I mean, Scump, I guess out of the whole roster, he's probably the most active on social, and maybe Dashy too. Like Envoy's not super big on social. Like Karma wasn't during his stint. So I don't know. It's weird, but at the same time, it's like you have to look after yourself, especially before events.
You notice them drop off a bit for events, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, even back in the day when it was super common, Black Ops 2, Ghosts, IW, even like Black Ops 3, where they would actually stream all their scrims and everything, and like it was all just public and it was out there, and like who cares if somebody watched our VOD? Like, I mean, the mentality that the people that do stream their scrims, the mentality they tend to have is everyone knows how everyone's going to play anyways. Like, this is no new information.
Yeah.
Like, maybe S&D strats, but it's like in Respawn, all the teams have the same, starting strategy. You all know the rotation. You all know the players' roles. Like,
so you know what to expect.
Yeah, there's no new information you're going to gain from watching a VOD. And so why not stream it?
Yeah.
But you would always see, even back then when it was super common to stream everything because it was just another way to grow your fan base, another source of income, especially back then when you weren't on these huge player salaries from the league and all that. Like before big events, especially champs or X Games when that was going on, before you would start seeing 1-2 weeks prior, all the streams would stop. All the YouTube content would slow down. It wouldn't stop as much, at least not from OpTic. Nadeshot and Scump were always really good about it. But now it's like no one in the league even streams anymore.
Yeah, it's radio silence. And it drives me insane.
And then it's like an event's coming up and it's like anyone that was putting out a little bit is now putting out nothing.
Yeah, like
except for Octane. I don't think Octane gives a fuck anymore. Octane's like, we're posting.
So my sub anniversary to Dashy, probably about 26 months now.
Damn.
We're on. If maybe
I'm
27.
A bad viewer. Like, I mean, I guess it's. I don't watch anymore, not as much.
Yeah.
But like, I don't sub often.
Yeah, I'm loyal. I'm on a streak here.
So I am too with like most things, but
yeah.
Twitch subs I've never I don't even know the last person that like I dedicated like sub to
Well,
him for.
I don't get what I'm paying for anymore because like so when I hit my 24 month, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait to share it. And then I didn't even get to share it until my 26th month because he'd not been on. And I was like, Bruce, come on. I want to just hear, welcome back, Jess. Thanks for the 24. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Just give me a back, please. And then I did it I saw he shouted me out for the 26, and then it was 27. So I went on and he was in the middle of a map and he never got back to it. I was sat there like, come on.
Yeah. And it's weird too, I think, if you look at the casual streamer who is they're playing their games, entertaining their stream, and then pro players that happen to be streaming, like they're not there to entertain their stream as much. They're practicing. They're putting in the hours, like they're perfecting their craft, and stream comes second. And that's where, I mean, you see Nick Merckx, who I don't watch a lot of, but he's definitely one of my favorite streamers. I just think the guy's hilarious. And he really plays the role of like kind of a juiced up stupid jock really well. But like he's all in on his fans.
Yeah.
I think that when I think of like where do I want to be in like, I think content wise, like I like doing stuff like this. This is probably my favorite piece of content. Like I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. I love talking about OpTic and sharing OpTic stories and memories. This has probably been one of the most unique episodes, by the way. So thank you. Yeah, normally I have like a list of questions that I tend to ask, and I usually go through them. I've only asked you 2 questions, which is fine. No, this is great. This is great. This is like why I like podcasting. It's just open conversation. It's like once you break the ice a little bit, it's like you just back and like we're just talking. We're just chatting, having a good time. Like, but when I look at like content wise, like I love stuff like this, but when I look at fan base and like, man, what do I want if I ever, grow to a sizable fan base, what things do I want to do? And it's pretty much everything Nick Merckx does with his fans.
Yeah.
It's like literal, like I'm going to invite all these people out and we're going to have the M-Fam barbecue and like tailgate and like, that's fucking awesome. Like
amazing.
That it's something nobody's doing. Like nobody else is gathering all their fans together for a giant cookout. Just to have a good time.
Do that with OpTic. You need a state.
You would need, you would need
whole of, like, Manchester.
I'm trying to organize some way to do like a live in-person brick by brick type thing at Champs. But like, I think it would be cool. It sucks because like I don't have any sort of merch or like branding. I'm working on designing a logo right now. I'm pretty shit at design and creative ideas. So it's taken, I think the first episode of this was in January. And just the other day I was like, holy hell, I think I finally have a logo idea. I'm like, dude, it would be dope to have like a pop-up tent that was brick by brick themed and like a little brick by brick tailgate, like stops by, like we're cooking food, like also answer some questions about OpTic, like stuff like that would be awesome.
That sounds so cool.
But it's like you were saying, like, or I don't know, streaming wise, like the focus is either on your matches and getting better because you're a pro player, or on your community and
it's
the viewers.
Hard to find the balance, but I think like Skunk does that quite well. Like every time I go on his stream, he's talking to people, and like I just special, like in the I love the. I mean, it was Huntsman trivia last year. Now it's OpTic trivia.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff like that. It's just. I think the reason, going back to like the first question you asked me, the reason the green wall is so strong is because you feel like you know these guys. You feel like they get you and you get them, and I think that has a lot to do with Hex and how personable he is. Like he likes so many fans' tweets. Like he's liked my tweet before. Jude followed me on Instagram.
Oh, when Jude followed me on Twitter, I was like,
literally, I was like fangirling. I was like, yes.
Ah, man. One of the questions I ask, and I guess we can ask it right now, is like, if you could meet one person within OpTic, who would it be? And then does that answer change if you go from just meeting them to actually hanging out with them for a day? And like for me, it's always like if I can meet anyone in OpTic, I'd love to meet Big Timer. He's probably my favorite current member of OpTic. Like, I don't know if you saw my tweet the other day. I've tweeted this picture out a lot over the years, but my senior pictures in high school were literally molded after his 2013 appearance in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
so, but if I could hang out with someone for a day, Hex. Like, I love dogs. Like, I think my girlfriend and Jude would get along great. Like, I grew up a little bit in Southern California, which has a lot of Hispanic influence. So it's like Mexican food, like hanging out. Bucket list goal of mine is to watch the movie Snatch with Hex. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I haven't, no.
It's a excellent movie. I feel like you would. So it takes place most of the movie's based in London. So you'd maybe appreciate it. It's definitely kind of like a raunchy comedy from. I think it came out in like 2000, 2001. Excellent film. But like my answer changes drastically if I'm actually able to spend a day with him. Cause I'm like, dude, I want to hang out with all the dogs. Like I want to hang out with Jude. I want to watch movies with Hex. Like what am I going to do hanging out with Big Timer for a day? Like we're going to trade stocks and go eat at a fancy restaurant.
I think obviously for me, mine would be, everyone thinks that I'd say Dashi, but I'd just go to pieces. I'd just be like, I love you. I think you're amazing. I'd like go to pieces. So it would.
It's also different because you've met him before.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm like, I don't want to meet Hex. I've met Hex on several occasions. Yeah. Like meeting him, getting a quick picture does nothing for me now.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be formal. I'd meet formal because I just think it's only formal in Texas though, because he is built different when he's there. He's so funny.
Texas formal lost his shell entirely. He didn't come out of it. He threw that fucker in the garbage.
He burnt that shell. Like that shell is gone. Every time I say Texas formal, I think of Jamie on Twitter, Texas formal. So we're not talking about him, but shout out to him obviously. So it's the video where he's like, we need to put everyone above us, so in the tier ranking list, all the teams. He's like, we need to put them in A now, like that. And then and Skump's like, Shay taking the piss out of Zinni, like, oh, just brilliant. But to hang out with for a day, absolutely, without a question, would be Hitch. No two ways about it.
I've heard that a couple times.
Yeah. Football, we can talk about football all day, which I love. And I love it how he tweeted once calling it football. And I was like, I love you. I love you so much. Mm-hmm. I love all the stuff with his music that he does. Like I love his streams where he produces his music and stuff. I think he's funny. I think how he is with like Maniac and stuff. He just seems like such a genuine person. Yeah. Like such a friend. Like
I think that he just has a big heart.
Yeah.
Like he's just one of those people where it's like, and it really shows through his content, and he's super emotional.
Yeah,
like he's a heart on the sleeve. Like he's either all in, super emotional, or you can tell that he's just like holding all of that in, and he's like not talking to anybody.
Yeah, I just think he's a great guy. I really do. It really got me in the video with about Nick.
The process.
Yeah, and he was looking after his cat, and I just thought, oh, what an angel you are! Yeah. Like just somebody's cat. Like I just thought you are. He's just that friend that everyone wants. That friend that
I will say a runner up. If I'm hanging out with him, a runner up is probably Blake.
Oh really?
Yeah, Blake is the number one person that I want to get on here.
Really? Oh my god, that'd be.
I don't know. I think. So, like, there's stories that Hitch and NTST have shared over the years of, like, like in high school, like, we'd be sitting there and we'd be talking about Call of Duty, and Blake would, like, draw Karachi as, like, a map so we can go over strategies, and he'd, like, get the details of, like, where trash cans are. And I'm like, dude, that's how my brain works. Like, I was literally in high school, like I'd sit there daydreaming in class, like, man, I bet you if I threw like a red dot on an AK with this attachment and these like that'd probably be a really good class. I'd go home and I'd try it and like smoke people. Like, man, that was a good idea I had today in school. Like, I thought of a class to make, and I thought of like a different way to, you know, play the map. And I went and I did it, and it worked. And I'm like, I think Blake did a lot of the same things. I don't know. He just seems like good vibes.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing, like, he was such a big fan of OpTic, and now he's in OpTic.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the few people that went from fan to actually being in it. So I think it'd be cool to get him on here and just talk about like, hey, how does it feel to? I mean, I'm sure he's answered that question a lot, but like, let's do a deep dive.
I bet that's amazing.
Yeah.
My second would have to be Dashy, because I just feel like, I think the reason that I just I'm going to say I'm going to say the dreaded S word. The reason I stan Dashy so much is because we're so alike. Like, I mean, he's 10 times more chilled than I am, but like, we listen to the same kind of music and stuff, and I just feel like the vibes would just be there. Like, that energy is just, you know, when you just vibe with someone, I feel like, hit me up, Dashy, because we'll vibe. We will vibe, I promise you.
Yeah.
And
it's weird. It's weird to even think that, like, I don't know, we're at a point now where through content you can kind of get those vibes, like, you can tell. Like, definitely. I don't know. It's a good thing. I like it. Like, that's one of the reasons I first fell in love with OpTic way back when, is like, I had just been introduced to sniping and quick scoping. And up until this point, I was camping on like the side of high rise with like a light machine gun and claymores. And then I had some buddies like introduce me to sniping and quick scoping. And like, I'm super competitive. I've played sports like my whole life. So naturally I was like, all right, I have to get good. Like, and I had a buddy who, I mean, I had a lot of friends that were good at quick scoping, but one of them in particular was like insane. Like, I would say if he was actually able to do videos back then, he was probably good enough to actually be on some of the sniping teams that we see. Like, dude was nasty. And I was like, I have to beat him. Like, I have to be better than him. So I would like, I would YouTube like quick scoping tutorial, sniping stuff, and like stumbled across OpTic. And this was early MW2. And like, you start listening to their gameplay commentaries, you start watching their montage, and it's like, not only do I want to do what they're doing in game and be that good, but like, I'm listening to their commentaries, I'm learning about their interests and like the things they did, and I'm like, oh, these are like so relatable. Like, these are people like I feel like we could just hang out and be friends. And then you introduced vlogging and all the in real life content in the Scuff House and the OpTic House before that, and it's like, it just kept piling on top of that. I was like, man, like, I could really just hang out with these people.
I think that's why OpTic is, like we were saying before, that's why OpTic is so successful, because they haven't lost that. Whether, like, I feel like that, and I started watching in Black Ops 4, like, you still feel like, they're your friends, do you know what I mean? Like, in a weird way. Like, you feel like you could go for dinner with them and it wouldn't be weird. Mm-hmm. Like, you wouldn't have that whole, of course, they are technically like celebrities in a way.
But you wouldn't have the same.
It's
not
weird,
like
isn't it?
all of a sudden you're eating dinner with, I don't know, Ashton Kutcher or Chris Hemsworth or Kate Blanchett, and it's like, I'm at dinner with them, but like, they live in a different world than I do.
Yeah, I feel like
with them, it's like they're still celebrities, but they're so grounded. I feel like dinner with like OpTic could either go the way, like, one of two ways, and it probably, like, if it ended in like a food fight, you wouldn't be confused. Like, you'd be like, it's OpTic, and that's like, it's like a weird energy. Like, they're just guys. They're just so chilled. They've not forgotten that they were us at one point. They've not forgotten that they were people looking up to other streamers. They don't hold themselves on the pedestals that we put them on.
Yeah, like, definitely. Absolutely.
Like, if anything, it's almost like they hold their fans on the pedestal.
Yeah.
Which is
absolutely, they think the world of us. They really do.
Yeah. And
I love that.
I mean, to be fair, like, without the fans, they wouldn't be where they're at. So it makes sense. But nobody else that's ever achieved fame looks at their fans that way.
No,
like,
it's really,
like, you'll have people that are like, oh, like, I just want to make sure you guys know, like, without you guys, I'd be nothing. But it's like, to really put the fans up on the pedestal and be like, you guys are the real godsend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a fan of you because you're allowing me to live this life.
And I don't think I think all the other CDL teams are grateful. Don't get me wrong. I think they know that.
But they don't show it.
No, they do. And OpTic show it without showing it in a way. They don't explicitly come out and go, "We love you guys, thank you."
They show it effortlessly. Like,
yeah,
it speaks for itself.
Yeah, I think that's linking back to the first question you asked. I think that about 4 years ago. I think that's like what makes them so likable.
Yeah.
That's what brings the group of fans together as well.
I would say that's what brings everyone together too, is like we all feel included in that green wall.
Yeah. And I think I didn't really start my Twitter account until the start of this season. I actually did it because I thought all my normal friends are going to, like my home friends, are going to laugh at me for tweeting about COD. So I'm going to start a new account and I'm going to go on there. And then, like, out of nowhere, I'm up to, like, over 1,000 followers now. Like, I've gained momentum in the community quite quickly. And it's so nice. Like, I just was welcomed with open arms straight away. And I'm so happy I made that account. I really am.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why I first started doing Twitter too. Yeah. Was like, I don't know, sometime throughout this journey is like I started a Twitter account because I was like, this is where people talk. And Twitter is still my favorite social media, always will be. Like, nothing, it's the only social media that you can hold a conversation and like a proper conversation. You can just talk with people. Everything else is, there's either politics involved or too much negativity or too much, like Instagram, I think, is really fake, right? It's like, it's all definitely. Like, it's the Photoshop thing, the filters. Like, Twitter's raw. Yeah. Twitter's genuine. Like, see what you get. Yeah. People on Twitter, I feel like they open the Bluebird and they're like, here's what's really on my mind.
Yeah, like, we be wilding. Let's say what we think.
I was never really on Tumblr, but just based on like memes and different Tumblr threads and stuff I've seen, it's like better Tumblr.
Yeah, to me, Tumblr just wasn't where it was at. Like, I think you're right.
I think people do the same thing on Tumblr where they're like, they don't hold back. But I feel like they only use Tumblr for those weird things that they wouldn't share anywhere else.
Everyone's diary in a way. And like for me, it was when I was growing up. So there was a lot of like what was known as thinspo, where like photos of girls that were going through eating disorders pretty much. And like inspiration to be thin. Yeah. And stuff like that. And like it became like, oh, I've had this trauma, but this person's had more trauma than me. So let's up it. It was like a trauma game. Yeah. So that's why I went off Tumblr. Facebook, like you say, is too political. Instagram, too fake. Like you say, you open Twitter and I
will say TikTok's definitely one of my favorites as well.
Oh yeah.
But I realized like a couple weeks ago I was talking with a buddy because I was like, dude, like I'm never on TikTok anymore. Like, it was taking up too much time. But I was like, but also I don't gain anything new from it. I feel like it's so addictive, and like the algorithm, like the For You page shows you everything that you want to consume so fast. I'm like, I feel like in a 6-month window, I consumed everything the platform had to offer me, and now I'm burnt out. Like, it was so aggressive that it gave me 10 years of content in 3 to 6 months. You don't get
bored, do you, either? Because you sit there for hours a day and it's something new each time. Like,
but is it really? I feel like it's just people remaking the same.
Now, see, I feel like with TikTok, I have such a broad range of things that I go for. So, like, I'll have,
same.
I get Star Wars stuff. I get some COD stuff.
Do you follow freaking what's her name? Slay something.
I don't think so. I don't have that. Maybe
she's got a dope lightsaber collection.
Oh my god!
And she does a lot of they're all Star Wars related TikToks. If you saw it, you'd probably recognize it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just want to go steal her lightsabers. She's got so many. And like, they're high quality too. They're not like the dog shit Walmart ones.
Really?
Like, yeah, they're all nice.
Oh wow.
All
Gosh.
right, let's check out the list of questions. We've actually like a lot of these we've answered
Yeah.
non-formally, like what makes OpTic special versus other organizations. Like we've talked about that numerous times. Talked about like the Huntsman a little bit. You've been to an event. That's normally a question. So yeah, I haven't asked a ton of these, but we've answered a lot of them. One that we haven't got to. I mean, I guess we kind of have, but no, I'm not even going to ask because it's going to be Dashy. Favorite current and favorite all-time member?
Yeah, Dashi, current. Weird because he's still on the team, but obviously it's got to be Scump all time. It'd be between Scump and I think there's something so likable about him.
Okay.
So if Dashi wasn't in the mix, it would obviously be Scump. Dashi at the moment is my favorite because something we just vibe.
Because
I think
you
he's
love
great.
him?
Yeah, and he's the most beautiful man on the planet. But Scump, there's just something so, like we were saying before, so personable and so likable about him. Like he's just him, and he's unapologetically him as well. Like he's like me or don't like me, fine. I'm not going to change who I am. Mm-hmm. And like I've watched a lot of content from through the years.
One thing I've noticed, by the way, throughout this show, not this episode, but just doing this podcast and talking to people, is every single person that's come on and is a relatively newer fan, which I would consider pretty much anything from like either Black Ops 3 or IW and on to be a newer fan.
Yeah.
All of them have gone back and watched older content.
Yeah.
Every single person.
Everyone always says like, oh my God, you kind of feel left out. You're like, oh, I miss these things. I miss like the Scuff House and stuff. You want to see that.
See, I feel like I missed some of the Scuff House, even though I've been watching for so long. It's like a lot of the stuff that they started doing right in the middle of the Scuff House and towards the end, and really where like a lot of the newer fans started to get into it. That's where my life started getting busy enough where I didn't have time to watch anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like most of my memories are 2010 to 15, 16, 17.
I was just starting high school then. Like I was like,
yeah, 2010 was my freshman year of high school.
How old are you when you go to high school?
13, 14.
I'll see. We start high school.
I'm 25 now.
Yeah.
So.
We start high school in the UK when we're 11. So we have primary school, which is like elementary.
Secondary school.
We don't have middle school. We just go primary school, high school, college, which is like when you're 16, 17, 18.
Yeah. Well, my senior year of high school, we had to basically come up with like a bill to pass through Congress, and mine was education reform, and it was modeled after, I want to say it was Finland, because I think that Europe does their education structure a lot better, specifically Finland, if I remember correctly. But it was because like in your younger years, and you're 10 to 16, and correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously you went through this, but it's like that's where you start learning about your interests and what career field you're going to take. Yeah. And then 17, 18 and onward is where you start actually doing that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And it's like in America, we don't do that. And like even at the end of high school, 17, 18, like you still don't know what the fuck you're going to do. Like, and there's no emphasis. There's like schools will tell you like, oh yeah, go to college. Like, what do you want to do? But like at no point throughout the actual education do they kind of guide you towards like, hey, I know you're a kid and you're, kind of dumb and maybe you don't know your interests, but like as an adult, I can definitely help you identify your strengths.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that.
Like we have like careers departments and stuff in schools. We do a lot of like careers days and things like that. So how it works, obviously you have your preteen years, you're in primary school. Yeah, and then it kind of makes sense the way they do it. So you're in secondary for 5 years, and that's like your reforming years where your formative years really, where you're getting you're finding out who you are. So
Yeah.
to break in the middle
But
of
like
that
they're
and go
also
to
helping
school,
guide that a
yeah,
little bit. It's like in
for me
America,
to
it's
like,
like you just have the freedom to figure out who you are, but it's like at that age you can't.
yeah,
Like you need
with
someone to be like, hey, you know, you're really good at math and I can tell you're super interested in science. Like here are some careers that you would maybe do well in and also be interested in.
I
Or
think what helps,
I don't know, I can't stand
yeah,
it how we do it
what
here.
helps with us as well, because like I say, we're in the same place for 5 years. We tend to have a lot of the same teachers. So how it obviously you guys have grades, we have years. So the woman who taught me English in year 7 taught me in my first year, taught me English in year 11, which was my last year. So there's a much more consistency. And then, but I don't know how big American classes are. With us, my school only had 600 students in it, 120 in each year.
How big's your like town or whatever?
So the town I'm from is quite small. So we don't. I know it sounds really silly. We don't tend to. You know how like in films in America you see they drive in like population this many.
Welcome to the
We don't
city
have
of
any.
Miami. Population.
Yeah, we don't have any of that. Really, I know how many the population of the UK is.
Okay.
But
See, because like that's what's always like. So I don't know. People like when it comes to comparing, at least in America, like when you compare, like oh well, you know, my class only had 30 students in it, and maybe that was like the classroom. But we also use class of like graduation. So it's like I graduated in 2014. We were the class of 2014.
Yeah, same.
So it's like my graduating class was, I think, just shy of 200 people.
Wow.
But it's like our school had maybe 4,000 people or so. But in Southern California, my graduating class would have been 4,000. Because the population is so much more dense there.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Like you said 600 was like the whole school?
Yeah, the whole school. That's everyone. So, and there's another school in the town I'm from. But that was a much bigger school. That's probably had about 1,200 students for the whole school. So my school was quite small anyway.
Yeah. But, so it's like my graduating class was a third of your school.
Yeah. Right. So it's so weird to compare.
It's weird to compare numbers because population density.
Yeah, definitely. With my town anyway, we live in a lot of, so our houses are quite small, especially in comparison to American houses, and they're all attached. So I live in a terrace house, and just on my terrace alone, there's 10 houses, and then there's a terrace behind and a terrace across, and then a terrace across the road as well. So we're pretty much all terrace houses. So as much as the population's probably less, we're all very crammed together.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool, I think. Like that's something that anytime I watch like movies or anything that you know are set in most other countries or like even shows and stuff, is like you have these tight-knit communities, which is cool. Which like part of me doesn't like that. Part of me doesn't like the small town of like everybody knows their neighbor, because sometimes that can be annoying. Yeah. Like, and gossip, rumors, like there's always like weird stuff like that where it's like, oh, well, we all know that this happened.
Yeah, everyone knows everyone's business.
Yeah. So like there's that downside, but the upside of that is like you are this tight-knit community. Like I don't know. Pros and cons.
See, it's weird in the UK. Like everyone knows everyone. Like people that are years older than me, I know who they are. But a lot of that comes through. So I live in quite a low income area. So a lot of that comes through drug dealing and things like that. So and Haywood is very, very split. So a lot of the people are either they come up from Manchester, they travel to Manchester and have good jobs, or they live in the middle range, which I would class myself as I'm working, I have enough money, but I don't have enough money to save for a mortgage and stuff. Yeah. And then there's some real poverty in my area. Some very, very poor people.
See, it's weird because in America, like the poverty, like what is considered poverty, is a pretty high line income wise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and especially in California. California is a high income state and also a really expensive state. But it's because, I mean, it's huge. Like to
Yeah.
drive from the tippy top of the state to the bottom of the tippy bottom of the state, that is,
Oh, sorry.
you're good.
Yeah, my dad's
Like
ringing.
that drive is like a 16-hour drive.
Oh my God. You could drive from one end of England to the top of Scotland. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. You could drive from the bottom of England to the top of Scotland, which is the other side of the country, 3 times in that.
Yeah. So it's
Probably
weird because
about
like, because it's such a large state and income and cost of living is very split. Like in Southern California, LA, San Diego, like where most, California movies are based, Hollywood and all that, you have houses that cost 500,000, $1 million, $2 million. So it's like, if you're living in that area, the housing cost is still that, but like you might just work at fast food.
Yeah.
Or you might even have a decent job. You might be making 80 grand a year, 100,000 a year, but because you live in that area, you might still be poverty.
That's crazy.
Because cost of living is so expensive in that area.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really weird.
Yeah.
And it's tough because having such a large spectrum of both income and cost of living, like it's weird drawing those poverty lines.
Yeah.
Like we live, like where I'm at now, we're in a decent sized house. Granted, I'm living with my girlfriend and her oldest sister. So it's like there's 3 people pitching in towards like rent and everything. And it's like, it's a nice place and we can afford it. But like we are hands down poverty line still.
See, I think with us, if the poverty line was, for us, the poverty line is in the UK is so low. So to be on a minimum wage job, someone like worked it out at like how much like you'd get. And if you were running a house with council tax, which is kind of like our it pays for like police and
okay,
public
so it's like the public, yeah.
And then normal tax, income tax, national insurance tax. We have a few different taxes. It leaves you with something like £40 a week, and then that's without the cost of food, running a car.
That's like nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's like with me and my partner, we've worked since being 16. We moved out when we were 18. I've been to university in that time, and we have like no savings, but we live comfortably. We're okay. We get through.
See, that's like about where we're at.
Yeah, you survive, you don't thrive, don't you?
Yeah.
There's a very difference.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, we're trying to thrive, but we're surviving.
Yup. All right, let's spin things back around.
Yeah.
So we've covered most of the questions. The last couple would be, what are your top 3 favorite OpTic moments? And I ask this to everybody, and I explain it to everybody the same way. It doesn't have to be necessarily from events. It can be from vlogs. It can be from streams, like anything throughout OpTic history. What are your top 3 favorite moments?
Okay. Right. So, number 3 has to be meeting OpTic and Hex. Obviously, that was amazing.
Okay.
Number 2 was being at the London event, the CDL one, when Huntsman won. That was unreal. And number 1 is a bit of a weird one because it shouldn't be a happy moment. But it was I cannot remember which major it was. It was when like we'd lost a mate, I think we came 3rd, and Twitter just exploded with positivity for the guys, like, and everyone was, and I remember
this year.
This year.
I want to say it was like stage 3.
Yeah.
Or something.
Scum tweeted about it saying thank you guys so much. Yeah, because it wasn't last stage. Yeah. stage 3, I think. And there was just, even though we'd lost and we hadn't got through to the final, there was such positivity. There was such a love in the community. And I just thought, this is why I'm here. This is why I love these guys so much, because yeah, we lost. Yeah, we didn't win the major, but look at how much these people mean to, look at what bands us together. And that was the moment where I was like, I fucking love this fan base so much.
I like that answer. It's not what I was expecting. When you said this one probably shouldn't be like a happy moment, I don't remember who it was, but somebody answered this question, and their top 3 was losing Black Ops 3 champs. And their reason being was because that loss is what set us up to win the following year.
Yeah, I didn't even put in winning champs as one of my favorites.
And I initially was like, get off the show. But then they're like, no, because I think if we don't lose Black Ops 3 champs in that fashion, we don't have what it takes to win the next year. And I was like, okay, I'll accept that answer. But at first I was like, what? And I thought that you were going to say Black Ops 3 champs when you were like, shouldn't be a happy moment. I was like, don't you dare.
Not again. Not another one.
Not again.
But yeah,
that's a solid answer though. I remember that, and it was one of the few, really the only time that we had a more devastating loss, and everyone still showed love and support.
An honorable mention.
I mean, something that we. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, an honorable mention has to be the time I tweeted, I have a feeling, like during the day, I have a feeling Dashy's going to fry today. And it was that.
And he went off.
When he had like a few, in the stage, he had like a really bad run. I think he dropped like a 0.89 or something like that. Like, potentially, yeah. And he'd had a really bad run. It could have been stage 3 actually, because I think it was that weekend with the event I'm talking about. I can't remember anyway.
I remember seeing it. Like, I remember seeing... Yeah. Because I think later that day, I think he fried, and then you retweeted, like you quote tweeted.
Yeah, I was like, does anyone want this week's lottery numbers? Like, I think I got
something like that. I remember seeing it, and then I went back to see Dashy's stats, and I was like, oh. Okay,
yeah, so that's got to be an honorable mention. Mystic Jess over here, knowing the future. Just got faith in him.
Faith in Bruce. Gotta have faith. What's the Batman quote? Night's darkest before the dawn.
Bringing it all together.
That's right. I can't. No matter what, I can't get over the Dashy Bruce thing.
Yeah.
Like, isn't his name Brandon, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to go down 10 years from now. He'll be one of the, probably like a top, I don't know about all time. He's pretty good though.
But he's going to be.
But he'll be like one of the players people talk about, like, man, Dashy was good. Remember Bruce?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to go down being remembered by not his name, but not a nickname.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce is a proper first name.
Yeah. Everyone's just going to think
people are going to think that that's his freaking name.
It makes me laugh as well, because I had to explain to someone the backstory the other day, and I was like, you don't know why it's called Bruce.
I had to explain that to my girlfriend the other day.
It's so funny.
I was showing her the Rich and Lonely Dashy merch.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's all Batman themed.
Yeah.
Because, and I had to explain
It makes me laugh as well. The first time I went to the event, I was like, why are they all booing him? Why are they all, because he go Bruce like that. It sounds like,
and he sounds like Boo.
I was like, why are they booing him? Why are they booing Dashy?
And it might sound more, I mean, I don't...
Sit down.
Say Bruce real quick.
Bruce.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit more like Boo with the British accent a little bit.
If a group of lads are chanting it, they're like, Bruce.
Like when you said it the first time, I was like, that sounded more booey than, like, in America when we yell it. It still kind of sounds like it, but the R and the U are a little bit more emphasized. It's more Bruce.
There's more emphasis on the middle, isn't there? Like, my boyfriend was like, sit back down, I'll explain it to you. I was like, why are they booing him? Like, getting so mad.
Like, embarrassing us.
I was like ready to go to war. I was like, who's booing him? Who's booing him? Who was it? And Jack was like, sit down, I'll explain it. So
I didn't know until I saw like the stream clip of him talking about it. All right. So normally I use this segment of the 3 favorite moments to just talk about OpTic history type stuff. I change it up. It's not my 3 favorite. I don't know if I can narrow it down to just 3, but I'll usually come up with just different things to that have happened in OpTic history. And this one I will go with IW champs. I don't think I've actually listed it before, but we just passed OpTic Day. We just passed the 4-year anniversary of champs, and champs weekend is coming up. So IW champs, definitely one of the favorite moments in OpTic history. One that I think I've mentioned probably the most on this is Dashy's 5-piece from champs 2 years ago. That I think is actually genuinely one of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
Seeing it, who the hell gets a 5-piece in Black Ops 4 with the time to kill? The crowd.
Was that the Seaside one?
Yeah, Seaside Hardpoint. Yeah.
And then
TJ being at the event, TJ went off. Yeah. Everyone went off.
Yeah.
Right after one another, because right after that is when Karma went into the next hill and saved him. I think it was him and Krim went in and just. But yeah, being everything involved, the fact that it was even a 3-piece, let alone a 4 and 5, the crowd being a part of the crowd, definitely a top 3. And then let's see, something else champs related. We'll do a third with an honorable mention. I'll keep them all champs related. So you have the 5-piece, you have IW champs, and then Scump's 3-piece on Aftermath Search and Destroy from COD Champs 2013 against Complexity. That got them into top 3 placing. If you haven't gone back, that is Benson and Golden Boy were casting it. It was a round 11. It was a $20,000 round of Search and Destroy. Yeah, because it was the difference of 4th and 3rd place, which was a $20,000 difference at the time. And Aftermath S&D, Black Ops 2, Scump came in and he got a 3-piece on bomb. Definitely want to say you've probably seen that video. It's one of Scump's probably best moments.
I've seen it.
Yeah. So that one, and then the honorable mention, we'll go with 2011 COD XP, which was my very first taste of competitive Call of Duty. I had been watching COD videos all 2010, and then September of 2011, before Modern Warfare 3 came out, they did it was the first $1 million tournament in Call of Duty, and OpTic won it with a substitute. It was Merc, Big Timer, Nade Shot, and Vengeance. And it was supposed to be Rambo, but he couldn't get his, I think it was something with his visa or whatever, because he's Canadian. So Nade Shot got to play. And Nade Shot won $100,000. First place was a $400,000 split 4 ways. And that started the career of Nade Shot in many ways.
Oh,
it was validation
nice
money. I mean, he's really like 17 at the time or something and wins $100,000 in working at McDonald's at the time. And look at him now.
I relate to that because that was my job before.
That was my first job.
Yeah. I stayed there for like 5 years. I was there for.
I ended up 2.5.
I ended up being a manager in the end, and I had to leave because I was like, oh my God, this is too much. I have not got it in me to cook another basket of fries. Yeah.
I left as a kitchen department manager and was offered GM, but I was like, I don't want to be at McDonald's. See ya. But so we'll throw it way back to the first $1 million OpTic won. You had Fwiz, Hastro casting that match. Good times.
Gosh, that's what's that? 11 years ago.
10.
Oh,
it was 2011.
Am I okay? I genuinely, in my head, then was like, it's 2022, so that's 11 years ago. Oh my God.
You really are from the future.
Yeah, must be how it is.
Yeah.
I'm predicting now that we're good. That Scump is going to be fine for Thursday, and we're going to be.
I am.
Touch wood.
Him and Envoy.
Pardon?
It's Scump and Envoy.
Oh gosh, yeah. God, that's so bad. I don't even think I've said Envoy's name this whole.
You did. Well, you said mom of Envoy.
But there you go. We mentioned his mum, so that counts.
That counts.
I'm sure. I'm manifesting right now that they're going to be fine. I'm sure they'll be fine.
I'm going to believe in it. I'm going to believe in the wisdom of Jess. All right. I think, is there anything else that we didn't get around to that you think you would like to share?
I think if there is something we've missed, I will be very shocked because my jaw hurts from all the talking.
Yeah. we went around and around. This will be one of the longer episodes, but it was good. I liked it. It was a good conversation. Thank you for coming on. At the end of every episode, I'm sure you've watched Hot Ones with Sean Evans, the Hot Wing show on YouTube.
No, I haven't. No.
What?
I've never.
They actually did a little collab. They did like a minute-long collab with COD League before Champs like a week ago. Yeah. It's a show where they eat hot wings that get increasingly spicier. Right. And they ask their guests just different questions and stuff. Probably one of my favorite shows / like series that it exists on YouTube. Definitely recommend. I love wings as well, so. And they have tons of great people. They've had Gary Vaynerchuk. They've had Idris Elba. They've had Paul Rudd on there. Like there's.
Wait, is that where that video comes from? That Paul Rudd video.
Yeah,
is like,
hey, look at us.
Yeah, look at us.
Yeah, that's from Hot Ones.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks.
So it's that show. Definitely recommend it. But at the end of every episode, Sean Evans, the host, he goes, "All right, you've got this camera, this camera, this camera. Tell the people, tell the viewers, what do you got going what do you have going on in your life? Where can people find you? Stuff like that." So I do a similar thing at the end of every episode. I basically give you the opportunity to tell anyone listening or watching either where to find you on social media, what you're up to, anything that you want to share that's about you. I lied. We can't stop yet. There's one more question I have to ask.
Oh, okay.
If you could be involved with OpTic or join OpTic in any way, shape, or form, what would you do and why? Pro player, cameraman, graphic designer, whatever.
I'm going to give you an answer that I don't think you'll have ever got, but I'm happy with it. I just want to look after Hector's and Jude's dogs. I will happily
I'll take it.
Look after the dogs.
My girlfriend would say the same exact thing.
Yeah. I can't play to save my life.
I thought you were just going to say Dashy's wife.
Well, yeah, I don't mind having two jobs, honestly. You know, if someone's got to do it, I'm happy to work hard.
Okay.
And take both roles. I know. What a saint. Yeah, I can't point a camera to save my life. I struggle to even take photos of myself, as we saw when I tried to start this up and I dropped my phone like 5 times. So, yeah, I just want to look after the dogs. I have a dog myself, so we'll just stick with the dog. Yeah. And that means I get to go to Hector's and Jude's house. So I'll just chill in the pool all day with the dogs, let everyone else work hard, and I'll look after the dogs.
I'll take it. I would do that.
Yeah, I mean, dream job.
I would do. It's hard because I like behind the scenes stuff. Anaheim 2019 and Champs 2019 was like my first taste of kind of trying to shoot behind the scenes type stuff. Like I was just vlogging, but I was focusing a lot on getting crowd reactions and stuff. And it's something I'm definitely gonna try to do more of at Champs this time. So I wouldn't mind being a camera guy, hanging out with Roger and Hitch and the behind, because really they're the guys that make the magic happen.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't mind doing content and being more on camera. I would love if this show got picked up by OpTic. If I could be involved with OpTic in any way, shape, or form, it would be doing this show but presented by OpTic Gaming.
We'll manifest that as well.
Can we please?
Keep manifesting.
Also, the next guest I'm going to try to be on, have on here is definitely going to be the biggest guest so far. I'll tell you afterwards, but for anyone listening or watching, look forward to the next episode 13. I believe this is episode 12. But with that being said, now let's get to your moment.
Yes.
Share anything you want that's, again, you, OpTic, whatever.
So I am pretty simple. I'm Jess. You can find me at Dear Cringe. I can't even speak. At Dear Christensen on Twitter. That is Hayden Christensen. Judge me all you like. I'm a stan. Let me be. Yeah, I'm really active on Twitter. Come follow me if you want to talk about the Green Wall. Or Star Wars or anything really. I just like to talk shit. So yeah, come follow me and we'll talk about anything. And I'll follow you back because I'm really nice. So yeah.
All right.
Feel free to come follow me.
Links to that Twitter will be in the description below, twitter.com/Dear Christensen. Description below, whether you're listening or watching, it will be available. Again, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out for 2 hours. This has been rolling for 2 hours. So again, thanks for sharing your time with me, hanging out, talking OpTic, and enjoy Champs weekend.
I will. Thank you.
Where are you guys going?
Portugal will be in. So
enjoy Portugal.
The time difference, there's no difference with England and Portugal, but I will be in my hotel room, watching on my phone, manifesting that we will win Champs.
Yes.
Green Wall have got this.
It's out there. All right. Anyone listening and watching, we will see you guys on the next episode.